Question 16, it says, which of the following processes is endothermic? This can be tricky and takes practice. So it's really important to practice a few problems like this, and there are some on the homework as well. So in question 12, we talked about Q in terms of, gaining or losing heat. So Q being positive means the system gains heat and feels cold, and Q being negative meaning the system releases heat and feels hot. Well, endothermic and exothermic are related to Q, or heat energy. So endothermic requires heat energy to happen. And exothermic gives off heat when it happens. Said another way, endothermic is when delta H is positive and Q is positive, and exothermic is when delta H is negative or Q is negative. So this is basically what you want to think about. Does this process require heat to happen, or does it give off heat? So we have a hot cup of coffee system cools on a countertop. So does the hot cup of coffee give off heat as it cools, or does it require heat to cool? Well, of course, a hot cup of coffee gives off heat as it cools, so this is exothermic and therefore not our answer. Okay, let's look at the next one. The chemical reaction in a hot pack often used to treat sore muscles. Does a hot pack give off heat, or does a hot pack require heat to happen? Well, a hot pack gives off heat, so this is exothermic. Let's look at the next one. The combustion of propane. This one sometimes stumps people. Propane is the stuff we burn in a gas or in a barbecue. Okay? So people will say, well, it takes a spark, so therefore it's endothermic because it requires heat to happen. Although that does require a spark, that's only providing the activation energy. You need to think about the combustion of propane after it's already lit. So when propane is burning, is that barbecue giving off heat, or does it require, do you have to put in heat to get it to keep burning? Of course, the barbecue gives off heat, okay, or the propane burning gives off heat, so this is exothermic. The vaporization of rubbing alcohol. Whenever you have phase changes, like vaporization or in the next one freezing, I suggest you write them as a chemical reaction. So vaporization means we have alcohol as a liquid forming alcohol as a gas. If we want to turn something from a liquid to a gas, do we have to put heat in, or do we have to take heat away? Well, if you want something to go from a liquid to a gas, you have to put heat in. So this is your answer, and this one is endothermic. Just for extra practice, let's look at the last one. The freezing of water. Again, I recommend a chemical reaction. So we have water as a liquid turning into water as a solid. If we want water to go from a liquid to a solid, do we need to put heat in, or do we need to take heat away? Believe it or not, for something to freeze, we need to take heat away. This is why you would put liquid water in the freezer where it's cold and heat is pulled out, okay, to get it to freeze. So this actually gives heat off. This is actually an exothermic process. Doesn't seem like water freezing would be an exothermic process, but it is. You have to take heat away from the liquid water to get it to turn into a solid. So this is answer here is choice letter D. Again, these take practice. There is one like this on the test, so you want to make sure you do a few examples like this.